Welcome back to topic 6, Algebra 1. We are on topic 6b, finding the vertex. Finding the vertex is a key thing in graphing. It's important to know how to find it, so we're going to focus on working on that today. So how can the vertex be identified from standard form equation of a quadratic, and what point does this represent on the graph is today's essential question. So from the standard form of the equation, ax squared plus bx plus c, we can find the vertex of a parabola. So this is our focus. There's other forms. You can find it from those forms as well. We're focusing on standard form. This is the first step to graphing, as I said earlier. So to find the vertex, we need to first make sure our quadratic is in standard form, meaning that the variables are in order from, the x squared term, because these are quadratic, so they always start with a squared term, otherwise it wouldn't be a quadratic, to the constant. So we go from the x squared to the constant. Now there could just be an x squared, there could be an x squared and a bx, there could be an x squared, a bx, and a c, right? So there could be 3, there could be 2, there could be 1. Right, we find the x coordinate here of the vertex by the expression negative b over 2a, right? This is going to be one of those things you need to memorize. We're going to use negative b over 2a. B and a are the coefficients in that ax squared plus bx plus c. If there is no b term, then the b equals 0. So if there's not a b term, then the b would be 0. I don't have any examples of that. Maybe I'll throw in a fourth one down here just to show us. All right, so this gives us the x coordinate, right? To find the y coordinate, all we have to do is take that x we found, plug it into the equation, the original equation, and then solve for y. So the only part you really have to memorize is the negative b over 2a part. All right, so let's try some examples. So I'm gonna make this nice and big here for number 1 so I can write nice and big on here. All right, so this is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? This is my a, this is my b, this is my c. So it can be helpful to write those ABCs off on the side. A equals 1, b equals -8, c equals 15. When we get to solving next week, using the quadratic formula, I will be telling you should probably write those down on the side. It helps to make sure you put them into your equations correctly. All right, so we're going to do negative b, right? Negative b over 2a is the x coordinate. That's what we're looking for first. So I'm going to do -8. I like to put that -8 in parentheses. I always write it out before I do any math. So that's negative b, -8 over 2 times 1. Because since the b is negative, it's a negative, which really a negative is just a positive. So that's 8 over 2 times 1 is 2, which is 4. So that means, remember, we are looking for points. We are looking for a vertex. And so the first point we found, or the first coordinate we found, was the 4. We found the x. That is our goal, to find the x. Once we find the x, then we're going to take that x, plug into our equation, and solve for y. So now I'm going to say, okay, we have y equals, I always put my x in parentheses, and you'll see, especially in number 2, why this is important, to make sure your signs are all correct, right? But it's the x squared minus 8 times the x plus that c. So I will always put those x's in parentheses to make sure I get my math right. Right, so this is 4 times 4 is 16, 8 times 4 is 32, so minus 32 plus 15. And then -16 minus 32 is -16 plus 15, which equals -1. Just kind of going in order of op. If you're plugging it into a calculator, you'll see that too. I would say I would not plug it into a calculator until you get to this step. I would do, you should write out the problem like this, and then I would do that first step here, that math, just to make sure you're getting it right. Because if you're not getting the squared things correctly, it's going to make the math harder the further along we go. All right, so this is my vertex for -1. There we are. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Negative b over 2a, find the x coordinate, plug it in for the y, and solve. All right, let's try number 2. There we go, nice and big, so we have enough room to work here. All right, so starting again with identifying my ABC. So I have a equals -1 this time, b equals 10, c equals -16. Right, so a equals negative, b equals 10, c equals -16. So I'm going to go negative b, so it's negative, and then that's a 10, over 2 times -1. You'll see I use parentheses for all my numbers, just so that way it's just constant habit, whether there's a negative sign or not. All my A's, B's, and C's, I like to put in parentheses just to help me make sure I have them correct, right? So this is -10 over -2, which simplifies to a +5, right? So the x-coordinate of my vertex is 5. Once we find the x-coordinate, we plug in for y. Now this is the one that can confuse students, so let's make sure we do it right. So it's y equals, negative is on the outside of this 5. It's 5 squared. It's not -5 squared. So we're squaring the 5, and negative is on the outside. Plus 10 times 5 minus 16. So be super careful, because 5 times 5 is 25, which means that this is a -25. Plus 50 minus 16, right? Doing that math. So this negative on the outside stays on the outside. And then we have 25 minus 16, and 25 minus 16 is 9. So when x is 5, y is 9. X is 5, y is 9. My vertex is 5, 9. All right. Let's do one more of these. Oh, I didn't use 2 fingers, so here we go. Number 3. So A equals 2, B equals 12, C equals -1. All right, so it's negative B, so it's -12 over 2 times A, so 2 times 2. So this is -12 over 4, which is -3. So once you have the x-coordinate of the vertex, then you got to go find the y-coordinate of the vertex. So I have y equals 2 times parentheses -3 squared. Now this time it's a negative, it is -3 in the parentheses squared because the x term was negative. Plus 12 times -3 minus 1. All right, so then I do 2 times 9, because -3 squared is 9, plus, this is going to be a -36 minus 1. 2 times 9 is 18. So 18 minus 36 minus 1, or plus a negative. You can leave it plus a negative if you want. So that's -18 minus 1, which is -19. So here we are. Here's my vertex. Now, I will give you a hint on your homework. There is one vertex that is a fractional vertex. So your x answer is going to be a fraction, and then they have to plug in the fractions. So you just need to remember your fraction rules to do that problem. I didn't put a 4 on here, but let's do a 4 real quick without a b term. So what if I give you a problem? We'll make it number 4. I'm making it up as we go here. All right, so what if I give you y equals, we'll do a simple one, x squared minus 8. Right? This is a quadratic, doesn't have a b term, right? So if it doesn't have a b, so identifying your a, so a is 1, b is 0 because there is no b term, c equals -8. Right, a is 1, b is 0, c is -8. So if we do our negative b over 2a, it's a -0 divided by 2 times 1, which is just 0 divided by 2, or 0. So if there is no b term, then your x coordinate will always be 0, because 0 divided by anything is 0, which then makes it kind of easy to find the y, right? Y equals 0 squared minus 8, or y equals 0 minus 8, which is just -8, right? So if there is not a b term, plug in 0 for b and solve. It is still a quadratic. As long as it's to the power 2, it still has a vertex. It is still a parabola with a vertex. All right, that's it for topic 6B notes. So when you get these finished up, then let's do topic 6C, so we're done for the week.